So it's been 3 months, and oddly enough, the iPhone 15 Pro Max has been one of the more frustrating pieces of tech that I've used over the past few years. That's probably a weird way for me personally to start a video, but that's what these videos have always been. Sort of my unfiltered opinions about the tech I carry around. So why has the iPhone 15 Pro Max been so frustrating? Well, it's weird and sort of counterintuitive, and we will certainly get to that, but I do want to cover a few of the other things first before we dive into the negativity that I've been feeling. I try to be a positive person. I want to make this as positive as possible, but don't worry. We'll get to the frustration. First off, what specifically have I been carrying around for the past 3 months? That's a fantastic question. Thank you, me. And that gives me the opportunity to quickly state that this iPhone 15 Pro Max base model was not loaned to me, given to me, delivered to me via a package around the world, nor any other means provided to me. I purchased it myself with my own money. A side note, it was a lot of money too. These darn Pro Maxes are not cheap, with this year's model coming in at $1199. It's also not cheaper anywhere else, or at least not on the main tech websites. As of the publishing of this video, I did search. I tried finding better deals out there, but there's not currently a better deal for this. For that money, you do get 256 gigabytes of storage standard this year, and you'll get a new method for charging and data transfer, that being USB-C instead of Apple's proprietary Lightning connection, which, surprisingly enough, that is the source of frustration that I've been feeling over the past month. But don't worry, again, positivity first, then frustration. Positivity, then frustration. Everything else spec-wise has been pretty much identical to the 14 Pro Max from last year. Yes, I know there's a new processor. Yes, I know there are slight advancements in the screen technology, but in real-world practical use, pretty darn similar. And really, that's the first thing I've liked. Stick with me, because it's not something that I liked about this specific phone, but it is something that I have liked in using this phone. Every year and every updated iPhone that's come out over the past few years, it's really made my appreciation of the 13 Pro Max that much better. You might have noticed that I've not made a you should buy a video on either the 14 Pro Max or the 15 Pro Max, and I probably will not do so because the 13 is still the benchmark of what I judge cell phones against as a whole. And with the 14 and 15 Pro Maxes coming out and being fine phones, it hasn't really changed my opinion all that much. Meaning that if you did take my recommendation to get a 13 Pro Max, that was a solid, good recommendation, and it's been that way for at least 2 years. In this line of opinion-based video making, you always run the risk of opinions being invalidated very quickly by the next round of tech, and so patting myself on the back a little bit, the 13 Pro Max was a really good recommendation. So that's kind of a weird thing to like, but the lineup as a whole, which includes the 15 Pro Max, continues to push me towards recommending that ancient in tech years by now phone, because frankly, it's still the best for the price. Okay, something I did actually like about the 15 Pro Max specifically, the body construction. Here, let me take it out of the case so I can show you. This year, Apple made a big to-do about their move to titanium as their phone body construction material, and I must say, I very much liked this new design. It's not so much the titanium by itself that I like. Honestly, I could take or leave the specific metal composition of my cell phone, like, hooray. But what I have really liked is the matte finish to this phone. I'm a sucker for matte finishes. I've always liked them. I'm more of a matte silver gray kind of person, even though I went for the blue color this year. That's probably why I just love the silver look of the MacBook Pro 16 this year. Either way, my biggest complaint about the Pro Maxes over the past few years was their stainless steel sides, which were the worst fingerprint magnets that I've ever seen. Now, with the all matte back and sides, I really haven't had a problem on the 15, and I went without a case for most of the past 3 months. I did eventually go, you may have noticed I had to take it out of a case. I did eventually go with a case for another irritation, but again, we'll get to that later. The new body grips better when you hold it. It doesn't feel as slippery as previous models, making it feel more sure in the hand when you're scrolling through social media, using the rear cameras, or actually calling people. Like sometimes I will actually call people on my phone. Something else I really liked is the inclusion of the new action button. Essentially, you have a fairly independent button that allows for a variety of customization options for its functionality. This used to be, like right here, used to be the spot for the silent switch, but I found that every year it didn't do much for me because I've kept my phones in silent for years at this point. So that switch was becoming superfluous. Now I've got the action button set to turn on my camera and even act as a shutter button. Yes, you could have used the volume switches for that in the past, but I don't like doing that. I like having a dedicated shutter button for my cameras. It makes it feel so much more like an actual camera and not just a cell phone, even though cell phones are kind of, well, who even buys cameras anymore, right? I've also both liked and disliked, speaking of the camera, I've also both liked and disliked the camera on the 15. I really like the new telephoto lens and have primarily been using that when the need arises for something that I don't want to look like a cell phone picture. I found the image to be crisp and pretty darn unique among other phones that I've taken with a cell phone in the past. The front-facing camera is still great. Family selfies are the main way we capture our vacations and holiday travel anymore, and when I say we, I don't just mean we as in my family. I mean we as in families as a whole. Like, that's just the way that it goes. So having the best quality selfie camera is actually pretty important. It's like, this is the family camera. Like, this is the fun tech nerd camera. This is the family camera. There is something I don't like about the camera though, and I started to notice this all the way back in the unboxing videos. The colors just kind of seem off. Not in photos so much, but I've definitely noticed it when I've recorded video with this. And yes, before I hear you typing in the comments right now, this could absolutely be on me for some kind of color correction thing. I don't do color correction. I don't change any of the settings in this when I record video, and I didn't notice the same color problems on the 13 or 14 Pro line of phones. It's not insurmountable. You can correct the footage a surprising amount in editing software, even included software on the phone, but I don't really want to do that for my family cell phone videos. Mileage will absolutely vary on this one, but it is an oddity that I wanted to report back on. For the past few years, both cameras, front and back, have been excellent in both natural lighting and even in my studio lighting here in the home office. The display continues to be excellent. It doesn't really need me to update you on it here. I really like the Pro Max screen so much that it's defaulted to being the phone that I buy every year. Once you get used to the screen to size weight ratio, it's hard to use anything else. And lastly, in the positives, the battery life continues to be exemplary. Before swapping over what I think was the 12 Pro Max, I'd mainly used small phones for most of my life. But once you move here, it's the battery life. It's just so good. It's really hard to go back. For example, like right now, I'm in a hotel room typing out the script to the video you are just watching. And for my iPhone, which I'm actually recording this video on, I didn't bring a phone charger for this particular trip because I don't need it. I'm only gone for a day, so I'll be away from my house for about 36 hours. I don't even worry. Like, I don't even think that I will have a single problem with battery life, which is one of the main reasons I love that about the Pro Max lineup. Just seriously, it's great. Okay, I gotta get back to writing the rest of the script. You guys get back to what you're doing. Okay, we'll meet back up. Okay, after all that glowing stuff, we have to get to the grittiness, the frustration that I've had in using this as my only phone for the past 3 months. First, and maybe this isn't a 15 Pro Max thing, but the 15 Pro Max is the first phone that I went caseless on. I normally use the Apple MagSafe wallet as my only wallet. Here, hold on. Okay, I went and grabbed it just so you could see what I'm talking about. I did make fun of this when it first came out. I thought it was a stupid addition, but I could not imagine going back to having like a bigger chunk of leather or something sitting in my rear pants pocket. However, the MagSafe magnet inside of the 15 Pro Max is so weak, the wallet just doesn't work that well. Like, I mean, it will sit on there, like it doesn't move if I shake it, but it's always falling off. I couldn't pick up the phone without ripping off the wallet out of my pocket. It's just a really big pain in the butt. So eventually, I had to buy one of the new not leather cases just because it has a much stronger MagSafe magnet built inside of it. I understand you don't want super powerful magnets by your delicate electronics, but this one needs to be better figured out because I just did not enjoy using it. But the biggest frustration, and the one that's kind of surprising to me, I did not like the USB-C port. Yes, I know. I agree the USB-C port is a good step and something needed to be done to move Apple away from their proprietary ports. But we're in this really weird transition period, at least for me right now, so hear me out. Functionally, I still don't really charge my phone via a cable. I haven't done so since the 13 series came out with MagSafe. I use a little stand by my bed that I set my phone into at night, which doubles as that sweet desk clock that I gushed about in a video. That's it. That's all I do. So Gary, I hear you say, why is the USB-C port bothering you? It's because I travel for work pretty frequently, which means renting a car pretty frequently. And not just for work. We've been traveling for the holidays. Like, I was traveling for the holidays as I typed out this script, and none of my current cables really work with any current cars. I 100% of the time will get a car with a USB-A port. And if I don't specifically bring an A to C cable, I'm in trouble when it comes to navigating around towns because I primarily use CarPlay with those cars. I know that this is a pretty dumb problem to have, but it's a problem that I've had 5 times in the past 3 months. Once in Cleveland, Ohio, Savannah, Georgia, Philadelphia, and twice in DC. I was not planning on complaining about this at all when I first got the phone. I still think USB-C was an objectively good thing. So I'm editing the video right now, and I'm not entirely happy with how this section turned out. Yes, I am still frustrated by the USB-C port, but I've done some research on rental cars now, and it seems like the majority of rental cars have USB-C. So I personally, Gary, has been unlucky, and I don't think it's fair to blame Apple for the fault of cheap rental car companies that I use for giving me cheap cars, right? That's not something Apple can control yet. So it has been a problem for me personally, and even in trying to share cables with my wife and her phone, she still has a phone with Lightning, so it has been a bit of a back and forth. It has been a little bit frustrating to be caught in this transition period, and that's what I'm really trying to express. Yes, USB-C, big positive. It'll be better once everything is USB-C. Okay, back to the conclusion. So 3 months later, what do I think? I think the iPhone 15 Pro Max is a good phone. It's fast, well built, has battery life that lasts for literal days. It meets all of the check marks that I normally look for in a cell phone in a recommendation. However, I probably will not generally recommend it and won't make a you should buy video about it because all of those same blocks are still checked by the 13 Pro Max for a lot less money. Who knows, maybe in a couple of years this will be the phone to go get when the 17 or 18 Pro Max comes out. But what about you? Did you buy or have you thought about buying the 15 Pro Max? Let us all know in the comments below. And if you like this video, click here to see more reasons on why the 13 is the better choice. Click, 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 click. Thanks for watching.